Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Keep hating. That's what Terence Crawford should be telling any and everybody who's accusing him of taking Peds. Keep on hating because you ain't doing anything but making Crawford stronger and drawing more attention to Crawford. And it's just going to be so sweet when he gets in that ring with Canelo. Win or lose, I expect it to be competitive. When people sit back and write the history books about Terence Crawford and how he performed and what he accomplished, how he took care of his body, he didn't abuse his body, he didn't develop bad habits throughout his career. They understand the genetics of his parents. They're going to sit there and talk about how great he was, man. But you know, my thing is, I don't get caught up in this stuff that like, it's so much of it that pops up on Twitter. I'm like, why are people attacking Terence Crawford? You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, on my channel, we speculate, we analyze, we predict, we dialogue, we have a conversation. So no topic is off limits, but you know, I've heard some people, and it looks like they've kind of gotten themselves in some hot water, say that they know, like, you know, that like it's a fact that Crawford is doing something that's he shouldn't be doing, and that's crazy to come out and make those kind of statements. And sound like Crawford has put his foot up their ass, and I'm glad to hear that that's happening. You know what I'm saying? That he's sitting there trying to get control of the situation, because that shit ain't cool. You know, I don't really get caught up into it, man. You know, when I see some of the nonsense going on out here, because even though I don't see myself as a boxing content creator, you know, I guess I am because I have a channel. But when I see the nonsense going on, that shit to me just looks like junior enlisted people from the goddamn section, man, not doing what it's supposed to, not getting along. And then I got to come in with the iron fist, man, you know, and break up all that bullshit. So when I watch these guys, you know, I stay out of it. But because it's just fucking stupid to me. I'm 50 years old, man. Life is great over here. I got 4 kids I worry about. This shit on YouTube, I'm like, these grown men? Grown men acting like this? Everyone claiming to have so much money and be so educated and have all these qualifications. What I'm seeing is a bunch of fucking bozos. And let me tell you something, I would never, ever talk to these motherfuckers. For real. You know what I'm saying? I'm the real fucking deal, man. From fucking having a career, being successful, everything has worked out for me, man. I fucking got punched in the face before boxing. I punch motherfuckers in the face. So I gotta question some of these guys, man. The way they act and conduct themselves. But the bottom line is, why is Terence Crawford being accused of Peds? All right? The recent accusation against Terence Crawford regarding these Peds, you know what I'm saying? It's I think it's just been like a mix of speculation. I think the association with SNAC. I think there've been a couple, you know, fighters, promoters who may have said something along the lines of, hey, how is he still able to do what he's doing at the highest level? And he's getting older. But now we got to talk about the accusations and the source of some of the accusations. You know what I'm saying? I do remember Gervonta Davis questions. He mentioned something. I think he actually questioned Crawford's physical dominance across multiple weight classes. And I think what happened with that was like he appeared vulnerable and hurt in recent fights. I think they were alluding to the Mean Machine fight. And then we're like, didn't he get hurt by Gamboa? How is he looking so strong in the past couple of years? Then the whole talk about SNAC came up. You know, what's up with the SNAC Nutrition, the company being run by Victor Conti, and you know, you can understand somebody questioning SNAC and Victor Conti just because of his history, you know what I'm saying? Being involved in the infamous Balco scandal and all that. So eyebrows are gonna get raised when you're associated with somebody like Victor Conti. But what I'll say is this: if you want to look at Sugar Ray Leonard, the Muhammad Ali's, any fighter from the past, you see this thing, sports science, sports medicine, things have evolved. You guys know who, what's his name? Ronnie Coleman is, right? The bodybuilder. He was a bodybuilder. What was he, 7, 8-time Mr. Olympia, some shit? Anyway, look at him in his prime. Look at his physique. Then look at Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. Two totally different beasts. Now, of course, we know Schwarzenegger, look, there was steroids being used by Schwarzenegger. According to Ronnie Coleman, that he used some steroids too. But what I'm getting at is they both, look at their appearance. Ronnie Coleman looked way different to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because it's not only the fact that there was some foul play between the two, it was the sports science, the nutrition, the supplementation. It's advanced. So when you get somebody who is an athlete and they decide now they want to take supplements and different things, you can expect to see them perform a lot higher than someone who's not. Anybody here ever lift weights? I used to lift a lot of weights when I was younger. And I remember when I started using creatine, all I took was protein and creatine. Guys thought I was on steroids. That shit's funny. Because I was walking around, I was boxing. So when I was boxing, I would cut down to 160 for fights, right? But I'd be walking around at 205. And at 205, I was benching 385. And and this is no joke. I would work all the way up to 315, do like 3 sets of 3, sometimes 4 or 5 sets of 3. That's from going from 135, 185, 205, 225, 250, 275, 295, 315, then jump up, right? And I would do that with no spot. No spot. You're probably saying, damn, Hood ain't lying because of the way I rattle that shit off. Because I fucking still remember. But when I would go up to, 350, 375, 385, especially when most of our doing 385, I would have my somebody spot, anybody in the gym. I was like, yo, I'll take it off. Help me get it off. I got it. I said, I could take it off myself, but I don't want to use up too much energy taking the weight off the bar. I'd be like, on the count of 3, boom, lift, got it. Boom, I push that shit up. But if I wasn't taking that creatine, I think it was NO2 Explode at the time, and protein shakes and shit. That's all I took and ate. I don't think I would have been able to do that. So this SNAC nutrition, just understanding what it does and helping with recovery and all that shit. I mean, I'm not surprised at anyone who uses SNAC products that may be performing at a higher level than their opponent who may not be on SNAC or has somebody who has the brain to put together the proper plan for them to get in the ring and have the best chance of success. But the problem there with SNAC is just the Victor Conti name. Okay? Because even me being real, when I just think about anyone connected to Victor Conti, you know what I'm saying? I automatically think about him being jailed for his role in distributing Peds to athletes in the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that he's still doing it. But it's just what it is. It's like guilty by association. If you see somebody, if you see me out in public, right? All you know is me talking boxing, and you see me sitting down talking to somebody, you're probably gonna assume that person next to me is probably talking boxing with me, right? And we may not. We may be out here talking about, how to get, once we get to $4 or $5 million, in the next 10, 15 years, drawing 10% every year, paying the capital gains on that, and just living off that money plus our retirement and everything else, and living a good life. You just don't know what we'll be talking about. But the reality is, man, I think this has a lot to do with Crawford coming up with his fight with Canelo and people paying attention and saying, okay, how's he going to do it? 135, 140, 147. Got clipped by Mean Machine. He looked pretty good at 147, knocking everybody out. Went to 154, didn't look that great. Now, damn, he's jumping up 2 weight division to fight Canelo. It's got to be more to it. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say keep hating. I do believe Crawford is going to do his best to win that fight through hard work, discipline, training. But I also remember when Crawford said, them guys up there may be a little bit too big, this weight class is for a reason, but then he changed his mind. And he said there were things that he saw. But what I really think it is, I think 75% of Crawford taking the fight is because of the money. You know what I'm saying? At 154, look, Crawford didn't just start boxing yesterday. He knows there's some killers at 154. He knows that. He's one of them. But he knows that he ain't the top dog at 154. They're all pretty evenly matched, and you don't know who's the top dog until they get in the ring and they fight it out. So why not go ahead, man? You got Turkey Al-Sheikh supporting you. Get in the ring with Canelo, make you a little, I keep hearing 50 million. I'm thinking Crawford going to make more than that. But anyway, go out there and fight him and make a gazillion dollars and sit back and just chill. Retire, or you fight a couple more fights. But the bottom line is, I think that's what it is. Crawford is just going after the money. And, you're going to see his body change. It's like I said, after I had boxing matches, I'd be right back in the gym lifting weights and all that shit. Eating, back up 200, 205 pounds. Traps, shoulders. I'll show y'all pictures. And that motherfucker. I remember one time I had cut weight for a fight. It was after the fight. Then like a month later, a friend of mine, he walked by me. I was walking into the gym, right? And he was like, yo, he called me by my name. I almost told you about my real name. He was like, yo, man. He was like, you tripped me out. He was like, before you going in here to fight to train to cut weight, he was like, you in here cock diesel pushing all this weight. He said, then it's like, we'll see you like 3 weeks later. He's like, your face is all sunken in. That's what they say. Your face is all small and sunken in. They're like, and then you come back and look at you now. Look at you all cut up and all swole. And I was like, just discipline, man. But if I'm not, like, you don't just walk around every day looking to reduce your weight and get down to a fighting weight. Like, that's not normal. You see how people just, walk around their day-to-day lives. Most of these fighters are probably walking around about 40 pounds heavier. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Crawford responds to the BS, man. Hey, I've not failed any drug tests. And he's going to deny wrongdoings, which is what he should. And, I don't know if it's true or not, but I keep hearing it looks like from all the shit popping up on YouTube, he may have sent a cease and desist letter to somebody. And I hope he did, because I would do the same thing. And this is the other thing, right? He made comments about Peds and boxing, expressing skepticism about Manny Pacquiao's career trajectory and the impact of blood testing on performance. But, everyone has an opinion. And I guess that's kind of what's going on now. But the issue is people are saying that Crawford is doing something wrong. And he hasn't proven, he hasn't done anything to deserve that kind of defamation. But as of right now, people just need to understand there's no investigation or anything linked to Crawford. There never has been. These accusations just remain speculative at this point. So I think it's just people looking to create a buzz just to draw attention to themselves, to their YouTube channels. And maybe if boxers are saying something, maybe just rivalry. Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe it's just a little gamesmanship. Anything to get an upper hand. But for me, I know why and how Crawford is able to do what he's doing, and why he looks like he looks. But the real question is, would Crawford face accusations if he was not with SNAC? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think he would be facing any accusations if he wasn't with SNAC. I just think that he's inherited some of that Victor Conte baggage. And unfortunately, he's never failed a test. But if you let some individuals tell the story, they'll make you think that Terence Crawford is guilty. It's one of those things, guilty until proven innocent, which is horrible that they're doing it to him, especially when he's getting ready to go into the biggest fight of his career. So if he clips Canelo, that's going to be the storyline. Terence Crawford, how did he do it? But I'm going to tell y'all how he did it here, I'm going to tell you who and what we should be giving credit to for Crawford's performance if he beats Canelo. And I'll tell you that in a second. But anyway, just having these conversations come up, it just forces people to question his legitimacy. You know what I'm saying? Crawford, for the most part, when he's in fights, the performances are unmatched. Moving up weight classes, remaining undefeated, dismantling elite opponents with ease. Some people say most of his opponents weren't, but the bottom is he's fighting the top guys who had outstanding amateur pedigree, ranked highly in the sanctioning organization. So he's done the business. But I do understand in the sport where the older you get, there should be a decline in your performance. It does make you stop and say, damn, is somebody getting faster and stronger as they get older? How are they doing that? Back in the day, I think fighters would peak around age 30, 31, 32, and then that was pretty much the end of their career. Now you see more and more fighters, going beyond 33, 32 years old and fighting to the 35, 36, 38. You saw Bernard Hopkins did, Pacquiao has come back. So for me, without SNAC in the picture, I think people would have absolutely nothing to point to. But I think it kind of makes them feel like they have some evidence to stir the pot and draw out these conversations and shit. But what I will say is this. Terence Crawford, him being associated with SNAC doesn't prove anything. But you want to know what I think when it comes to Terence Crawford still looking good at his age? I think it has a lot to do with how he takes care of himself, how he governs his body. That's his temple. No drinking, no smoking, no bad eating habits. He's a disciplined guy. He may put on some weight in between fights, nothing crazy. The man has a bunch of kids. His kids are active. They're out doing things. I'm going to tell you, even for me, I have 4 sons. 15 will be 13, 11, and the little man will be 8. When they're in there eating together, chilling, or if they don't finish something, I used to come through like a vacuum, man, and eat up all that shit because I don't believe in wasting food. But now I don't. Like the last 2 months, I stopped doing that because you end up finding yourself working out hard, but you're still putting on weight and shit. So I'm pretty sure Crawford, you go out with your kids and you get an ice cream, a cake, a pizza, you're cooking food. Like here, I'm always cooking West Indian food and barbecue, and there's always food in my house. It's shit in high in carbohydrates and shit like that, rice and different things. You're going to put on weight. So it is what it is. But one thing about Crawford and continuing to fight, I just think it's his mother and father. I think his mother and father is why Crawford is the way he is. I think it's genetics. Everyone's talking about Peds and SNAC and this and Crawford. No, I think it's genetics. And I'm just being honest with you. I think the fast twitch, muscle fibers, I think he got that from his mother and father. His father used to fight. But if you look at his mother, how she's built, she's all muscle, man. And his father, look, ain't no fat on that guy. So Terence Crawford got all that shit from his parents, and I just think when you look at the explosive speed, the reflexes, I think that those high twitch fibers, I think all that's great for boxing and benefited Crawford because his parents handed it down to him. Recovery and durability has a lot to do with how he takes care of himself. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't really look fatigued, even in long fights. He always getting a second win. And I just think that ability to recover and that natural resilience, again, has a lot to do with how he takes care of himself, but he was genetically gifted. So when you already have the genetic gifts and then you take care of yourself, it's going to just make things even better times 10. And when you look at his body composition, it's something that, I've talked about a lot. Terence Crawford's body composition, man, if you look, moving up from weight class to weight class, the way his weight is distributed, from his arms, from his leg, from his midsection, to his butt, to his face, to his everything. He doesn't pull weight in one area more than the other. It's evenly distributed. But again, comes back to mama and papa. And then all the other things, again, just ring IQ, adaptability, training and nutrition. Those are just things you got to do to just make things even easier for yourself, and just couple that with your God-gifted talents and ability. And you get a Terence Crawford. So, sure Crawford says you got to keep hating, man. He's God-gifted, God-talented, and it's the genetics. Working with a guy like Victor Conte and the SNAC program and those different chambers and recovery and shit to where he get oxygen, all that shit. You gotta go to the SNAC website and read up on all that shit that SNAC does. That's not doing nothing but just adding to what I think Crawford was blessed with by his parents. And even if it wasn't for that SNAC shit, maybe Crawford would still be out here winning. Maybe. Because I don't, like last year, and I'm talking about me, because if you've ever lifted weights or boxed or played any sport, you a fucking athlete, right? All my life I did this shit. But I was in last year, right? My first son was born. He's 15 now. All the working out and everything, shit changed. For me, kids, once my son was born, nothing mattered but him. My life was over. My health mattered, but anything else, my time was over. It was all about the little man. And I have 4. So I remember I was telling my wife, I'm like, yo, it's going to come a point in time where these little guys are going to be able to work out with me. And then I get back to, putting so much time in the gym, but I can't take time from my sons. And I remember I had one friend was like, yo, but you're important too. I was like, man, shut the fuck up. You sitting here talking about how important you are and you have kids, you fucking idiot. But that's just how I was raised. Anyway, son into lifting weights, played sports, into his appearance. We start working out again. Muscle has memory. So we get in the gym, and I have a gym in the garage, man. We have a 3-car garage, so I have one section, it's a gym. And we in there working out, and I get under 135 and take that shit off. Now, throughout the years, I probably go to the gym about 4 times a year. That's it. But in the garage, I said, okay, take 135 off. I brought that shit down, slow, pushed it up. Shit was popping and cracking. I was like, God damn, this hurts. Weight was light. Anyway, got up to 205, took it out, brought it down. And I'm used to getting that shit, 205, 225, man, and repping that shit out like, 28 times. I did that shit like 4 or 5 times, and I was like, hell no. Like, it bothered me mentally. But long story short, got on my creatine, got on my protein, started working out consistently from September, October, November, maybe August. It was right when he went back to school, August, September through December, right before the Christmas holidays. And I was back up to doing warm-up 135 for like 10, warm-up, go to 185 for 10, 205 for like 6, 225 for like 6, 7, 275, 275 for like 3 sets of 4. Then I was at 295 for like 8 sets of 2 or 3. No spot. and then 315 for like 4 sets of 2. And my son just watched me, and he was like, this is what he said to me. You know, me and my son got a different relationship. He was like, yo, what the fuck, Dad? And I said, what? He was like, that's crazy. I said, yeah, man, you know, muscle have memory, yes, but you know, you got to be consistent. But long story short, you know, I just turned 50. So after Christmas and stuff, you know, I knew I had tears in my shoulder, my left shoulder. I need to have surgery on it. But by getting under that weight again, I fucked my body up. So I need to go have surgery, but I'm not going to do it unless I'm dying, because I had my right shoulder rotator cuff repaired and the bicep tendon reattached in 2015. And that shit was a horrible experience the next year of rehabilitation. But that being said, genetics, muscle memory, being consistent. If I was able to go in there and do what I did, and Terence Crawford, who's always been an athlete, I'm just thinking that he's going to continue to perform at a high level, and he may not fizzle out until maybe in his early 40s. I always took care of myself, even up into my 40s, man. Like, we used to do fit tests. I was running a mile and a half, you know, before I was running that shit in like 7 minutes and something, in like 16 seconds when I was in my 20s. In my 30s, that shit got to like 9 minutes and 20 seconds. And then right in my 40s, I was running in like 10 minutes and 25 seconds. May not be fast to you, but that's fucking fast for someone who's 44 years old. Anyway, all that shit, you know, I can't do that now. But I run with a weighted vest on. So the reason you say, what is about Crawford or you? No, I'm making a point here that when I hear this shit, one, I think people are just being assholes towards Terence Crawford. Two, I think some people, you know, have a right to say, hey, he's associated with this guy. Maybe there is something going on. You know, it's just a conversation. But to say that the people who are saying Terence Crawford's cheating, those are the motherfuckers who probably never played sports, never worked out, never did nothing. The only thing that worked out was their motherfucking mouths. Because I could understand. I was in the Air Force for 25 years. I still got a lot of my fitness rips from when I was fucking 21 years old to my fitness rips when I was like 43. I think I retired at 44, 43, 44. I still got those fitness rips. And I can look at my performance then and then my performance right before I retired. I look at how I was doing 122 push-ups in a minute. That's a fucking fact. 103 sit-ups in 60 seconds and shit. And then as I got older, you know, it's more like, you know, 83. You know, things changed, but I was still at a high level. I was still fucking up them young kids. But it's because I was consistent and I didn't abuse and neglect my body. Crawford, on the other hand, and Crawford, like me, same thing. But these guys who are hating on him, on the other hand, they ain't doing that shit. So anyway, Crawford's greatness, in my opinion, probably has a lot to do with genetic advantages, ruthless discipline, smart training, and tactical brilliance. Pretty goddamn simple, man. Anyway, y'all keep cool. People need to stop hating on him. I'm all about the conversation, about anything. Nothing's off limits to me to talk about. And I said I wasn't even going to talk about Crawford, but the shit just bothers me that they're really out there accusing him of being a cheat. I don't like that because I understand how he can keep sustaining. I understand. Because I used to fucking do it too, like a lot of y'all. Most of us worked out. You know how that shit goes. Especially when you have supplementation. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.